I can't generalize, but unfortunately this is the case for some Gulf countries. To be honest, certain Gulf countries with the look at the democratic process in Tunisia as a real threat to their to their survival.
Their stability.
To their stability. Although Tunisia is neutral, we are not part of the conflict in the region. We never intervene in the Gulf affairs. But unfortunately, we didn't not only receive support from certain Gulf countries, but there is intervention not in favor of democracy, but in favor of destabilization of the political situation.
Yes, in the back and then here. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Amwaku. I'm a lawyer with the Public International Law and Policy Group. And this is going off a previous question, but is Tunisia in the position to help with the refugee situation with Syrians and some Iraqis coming from the Middle East? And you've spoken about some of the challenges that Tunisia is currently facing, but if you also look at Tunisia as a model democracy and also as an Arab country with a similar language, similar culture, you could really play a role.
Well, we are asking, for support for Tunisia, but we are asked, to provide support for our, colleagues and brothers in Syria. Of course, we are ready, but the means and the ability of the country is a very limited one in terms of financial resources and economic ability. Bearing in mind that we received roughly 1 million Libyans who are living now in Tunisia, and it is a heavy burden for our economy. But I think we have to take our responsibility. We are, ready to help, but up to the ability of the country. If there is financial support from the international community, why not? We are ready to do whatever we can, to help our brothers in Syria.
Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Amira Khmechem from the Center for Strategic and International Studies. My question is actually about
And
security.
you are Tunisian.
Yes, I
Yes.
am. My question is about security. So a lot of people will cite Libya as Tunisia's biggest security concern. And we know that a lot of Tunisians, especially males, are going into Libya. So can you tell us about who they are, why they're going, how many of them are going, and what the government is doing to try and stop the flow of Tunisians into Libya that may be causing a direct threat or indirect threat on Tunisian security?
Yes, I think the Libyan crisis is a real threat mainly to Tunisia and the neighboring countries, bearing in mind that we've suffered from 2 political assassinations, which were the product of the circulation of arms in the hands of the people in Libya and smuggling arms to within Tunisian common borders between Tunisia and Libya. We try to control our borders. We do our best. There is heavy military presence on the borders between Tunisia and Libya. But as long as the crisis is still there, there is no miracle solution. That is why the best way is to push for a political solution in Libya. I know that the situation is a very complicated one. When the political conflict transformed in military conflict, and it was combined by regional and tribal polarization. But I think I'm still optimistic that there is a possibility to reach a consensus in Libya, particularly when you have, the different, components of the conflict are exhausted now, and they're looking for a political consistent political solution. So unless we have a political solution in Libya, the situation remains fragile one, not only in Tunisia, but in the neighboring country. If you look what happened in Mali, for example, the crisis in Mali is the byproduct of the circulation of arms that coming from Libya. So the best way is to push from the international community, from the Arab League, from the neighboring countries to push for a political reconciliation and political resolution in Libya.
To add to that answer about your question, Tunisia has banned young people from the age of 18, I think, till about 35 to go to a number of countries, including Libya. Beginning 2014, they need a permission from their parents, but this summer they're completely banned. They cannot go under the age of 35. They are banned from going to Libya, and I think 4 other countries I forgot, but including Libya. So they cannot go.
Areas of conflict.
Yeah,
Libya,
areas of conflict.
Iraq,
So they are not
Yemen.
allowed under the age of 35, I think, to go to Libya. Maybe even Turkey, I think, and Morocco or something. So there were 4 countries.
Yemen
and Yemen. Yeah.
They walk across the border to Libya.
Yeah.
No, the border is.
We try to control the border. There is a heavy military presence, but the risk is still there. You know, there is no country who are immune 100% from terrorism at this situation.
And the military are building a big wall or a temporary wall, but what do you call it? Sandburn. Yeah.
Sandburn,
and filled with water. And so there is a lot more military presence on the border to shut down the border, illegal trafficking as well as terrorist activities.
But I think, you know, the terrorism is also the byproduct of the process of globalization, you know, through the internet means and everything, even inside the country. Of course, you know, Libya is a big risk, you know, but for these young, uprooted generations, economically and socially deprived, always the risk is there, not only in Tunisia, but other countries. And I think we suffered in Tunisia for a long time, for decades, from religious and political vacuum. And if you look at these, you know, radical elements, the majority of them in their 20s, and they lived under the previous regime with no hope. That is why I'm saying we need a holistic approach to the phenomenon of extremism and radicalization. The security measures are necessary, but, you know, we have to look to other aspects. You know, the political and the economic and the social perspectives are very crucial here.
Yes, Dan?
Yeah, hello.
Hi.
I'm Dan O'Flaherty with the National Foreign Trade Council.
I think it works. Can you tap on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's working.
I'd like to bring you back to your relations with the United States and the shockingly low amount of money that was requested, let alone has so far been appropriated for aid to Tunisia in the next fiscal year. How would you characterize your current relations with the United States?
Well, I think the relationship with the United States is, I could say, a strategic one, in the sense that, you know, the United States support the process of democratization in Tunisia. There is no doubt about this. But, you know, the political support is okay, that's fine. We have a political support from our friends in the United States, but the economic and the financial support is a limited one. When you look at for example, the aid to Tunisia, it was, you know, the amount was 145, I think. 34 millions, and then it was reduced to 83 or 82 millions in a very critical time when Tunisia needs more financial support from the American administration. And I think this is a real investment in the democratic process. The United States invested a lot in wars and military intervention in the region, and it failed. You look what happened, for example, in Iraq, in Afghanistan, and other countries in the region. The only remaining, you know, positive experience in the region is Tunisia. And it is the interest of the United States, the interest of our partners, neighboring countries, European countries, to succeed in this complicated, you know, process of democratization.
Which one? I can't see. Yeah. Can you stand up, please?
Yeah, sorry. Amanda Cadlick-Rand.
Munshi.
I just have a question about what the government is doing to prevent the return flow of foreign fighters back into Tunisia.
Sorry, we can't hear you. Can you speak up, please?
Sorry. Thanks. I'm wondering if you can speak about what the government is doing right now to prevent the flow of foreign fighters, Tunisian foreign fighters, back into Tunisia after they've left, in terms of like biodata or anything like that, and what sort of plan is in place within the Justice Ministry or the security forces to be able to deal with that problem when they come back.
Well, this will be a headache for Tunisia and other, you know, countries in the region. As long as you have this, you know, political crisis and civil wars, you have the risk, not only in Tunisia, mainly when you have a neighboring country in full mess. Dismantlement of the state in Libya, circulation of arms. It is a real risk for the political stability and the security of the country as a whole. We take, severe measures. The security measures are crucial to prevent these elements from coming back. But I think we need also a holistic approach, to integrate elements who are ready to be integrated within the social and political system. The peaceful element who rejected, radicalization and extremism. But for people who are, advocating radical and extremist views or conducts, so we need to face them by security measures of the state, and there is no other choice, because they represent a real risk for the very political security of the country as a whole.
Yes, right here, please. This lady here first. Yes.
Hi, my name is Mehrangiz Kar, an Iranian lawyer, human rights writer. I am very interested following the news of Tunisia. And I was heard that a big part of young people, young generations in Tunisia, they didn't welcome and participate in the fair election. That's very important to me. And my question is the first, is that true? And if it is true, would you please give me your opinion about the risk and the danger of this reality for the future of Tunisia?
Yeah, this is the harsh reality. Yes, we
so is that true?
I think half true. Half true. There is a rejection from the young generations to participate in the political system or in the political parties. Of course, it's not. This is not all the scene. There are certain, presence within the political parties of the young generation, but there are also a great number of young people are not in favor of participating in the elections or in the political parties because they are disillusioned by the situation. And this is related to the expectations of the revolution itself. By the revolution, their expectations were very high. They expected that everything would be changed in matters of months, if not, days. And then they discovered the harsh reality, their everyday reality. There is no change in their socio-economic, conditions. So they fed up from politics, and they said, all political are the same, and all politicians are the same, all political parties are the same. We need a lot of a job, to integrate these people within the political scene and to convince them it is crucial for them to participate in the political life in the country, bearing in mind that we enjoyed the space of freedom we never enjoyed before, and this is one of the greatest achievements of the Tunisian revolution.
Yes, sorry, that's something that I felt that because I hate revolution, because I'm coming from a revolution of Iran.
Thank God that.
That's why.
Yeah.
My concern is that these generations they will work for again a revolution.
Yeah, thank God that our revolution was peaceful one, and we are convinced now the revolution has to be translated in a political process, in a democratic process. And that is why maybe we succeed in Tunisia compared to other countries. We made compromises, reconciliations between different political forces. We learned to work together as, different, political parties. We formed a coalition government. So generally speaking, the political scene is not, terrible. There is a good progress in the political perspective. The only problem, the only dilemma that we are facing is economic one, and the security problem, which is also related to the geopolitical conditions of the region as a whole, due to the crisis that affected, different countries of the Middle East and North African countries.
Let me add that nobody or very few people actually like revolutions. Sometimes they become necessary when the existing regimes refuse reforms or real reforms, like you had with the Shah in Iran and we had with Ben Ali in Tunisia. Of course, we would have preferred to have a peaceful, without revolutions, reforms. But Ben Ali refused for 23 years. He kept putting people in jail and torturing people, and corruption grew exponentially, and so the revolution became necessary. But revolutions are not easy, as we are learning in Tunisia. And involving the youth, I think, is one of the main challenges faced by Tunisia today. How do you convince the youth to become involved in the political process?
And I think
because for 23 years, they refused to be involved.
Absolutely.
They had no faith in the political process. It's not going to be easy to give them faith and to earn their trust in the politician and in the political process.
And the revolution is the result of the failure of the political system itself. As long as you have into the channels, the reasonable channels for people to express themselves, the only way that provide for them is revolutions. And this is due to the political stagnation, not only in Tunisia, in Egypt, and other countries of the region. The only alternatives that remain for the people is to go to the street.
Yes, please.
Andrew McDonald from the International Center for Religion and Diplomacy. You mentioned a couple of times that Tunisia has suffered from a religious vacuum and that moderate vision of Islam could be a strong alternative to extremism and radicalization. I'm wondering, has Ennahda or anyone else taken any specific steps to promote this kind of moderate vision of Islam as an alternative to extremism?
Yes, I think Ennahda is the antidote of extremism and radicalization. We strongly advocate a moderate, mainstream moderate view to Islam, moderate interpretations of religion. And I strongly believe a bad interpretations of religion only could be faced by good interpretations of religion. Of course, the role of religion is crucial in a conservative societies in the Muslim world or the Middle Eastern countries. And the best way is to provide a space for religious expressions in a peaceful atmosphere. And I think the role of Ennahda as a moderate mainstream Islamic party is crucial in the process of facing radicalization and extremism. And I think, I repeat it again, that Tunisia, like other countries in the region, suffered from a religious vacuum. Maybe it is crucial to revive the role of the traditional learning institutions within a modernized context. If you look at the role of Zaytuna, for example, historically speaking, or even Al-Azhar, although the problem of Al-Azhar is associated with this, it is becoming part of the state apparatus. It's not independent. But to have an independent and active religious learning institutions like Zaytuna, like Al-Azhar, is very important, to face the phenomenon of radicalization and extremism in the Muslim world, mainly the Muslim Sunni world.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much for your time.
Mike.
Oh,
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I just have a quick question related to elections. I heard that
Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, I'm sorry. My name is E.B. DuPont. I'm with USAID. Just a question about the elections. I heard that there's possibility of organizing municipal elections by the end of 2016. Has there been any other movement on that? I just saw it in the paper.
Yeah, we're still in process, the discussion in the parliament. Normally we need to fix the date very soon, and this is one of the translation of the new constitution, the local government. Historically speaking, the political system was based on one man. It was, presidential political system, centralized system. We are in process, of decentralization and to distribute power within the regions, within the cities. And this process is very crucial for the democratic reform in the country. And there is discussion within the political parties, between the coalition, to fix the date for the next election.
Do you think it can happen by
I think it could happen by the end of the 2016. It is possible. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Yaya Fanusi. I'm with United States of Africa 2017 Project Task Force. I'm glad you talk about the youth. You see, From 1961 to 1967, I belonged to a political party in Africa in which the leader was saying, of all the youths that was working on, I'm the one who would succeed him as president of that country. And I used to say to him, look, I'm not stupid. Only stupid people can think they can develop the countries in Africa. That was Shaka Stevens. I was in his political party. So I'm glad you're talking about the youths. The youths in Africa and the women have no allegiance to all these countries in Africa. And you all will see what will happen very soon. They have no allegiance. They have already experienced nothing but chaos and destruction, and they have a different vision. You all will be seeing soon.
Yeah. Thank you. We'll take one here, yes, and then here, please.
Mohammed Nimr, American University. Al-Nahda is at once a political party and a religious social movement. To some people in this country and even in Tunisia, that poses a problem. Aside from the question of the radicals and the terrorists, just the fact that you have a dual function. How do you deal with that?
Well, I think Nahda is a mainly political party with a religious references, of course. You know, in a Muslim country, the political culture of the country is based on Islam. But as I said before, there are different views, different interpretations of Islam. Like any other party, you have grassroots, you know, religious grassroots. And there is a discussion within the party about, you know, the role of religion and the role of the political party. We may go for a certain distinction between, you know, the religious role and the political role of the party. You know, the normal way that the religious aspect will be integrated within the civil society and to focus on the political priorities of the country as a political party. But this is still in discussion within the party, and this will be finalized by the next Congress. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Jessica Friedman with IREX. I understand that one of the major challenges and goals right now of Tunisia is economic growth. Do you feel that the youth population or the young population is appropriately skilled and educated to meet economic changes? And if not, what changes to the education system do you feel are necessary?
I think the young generation, are they educated or not? They are educated. We have a great number of people who are going to the university, graduated from the university. But the problem is the gap between the cities and the demands of the market. And this is the real problem. We have a great number of people who left their universities. They haven't, you know, jobs in the market, and the market is a very limited one. And maybe this is one of the reasons of the revolution. We have a great number of people who left the university well educated, with great aspirations, but you know the concrete reality is completely is terrible for them. So we need a radical reform of the education system to make it more compatible with the demands of the market. That is why you know vocational training for the young generation is very important for our economy, and to make the market ready or able to swallow this great number of the people who left their universities.
Yes, please.
Robin Rafel, formerly with the State Department, now a consultant.
And former ambassador to Tunisia.
Back in the old days. You've spoken a lot about the economy, and there have been a lot of questions about that. And still, I think many of us are not sure exactly what the obstacles to growth are. Is there a consensus among the ministries in Tunisia, the powers that be, donors who would be providing the assistance, including the U.S. government, USAID, as to what, number one, the obstacles to reform, the kinds of reforms you need, the priorities of how assistance should be provided? I know, and I appreciate that you feel we all haven't given enough, but I think there's a hesitation on our part, and we learned a very bitter lesson both in Iraq and Afghanistan, where we spent not only on the wars, we also spent on reconstruction And a lot of the work that we did, and we were in a big hurry, didn't really have the kind of payoff that we expected. So I'd really be interested, maybe there's a plan, priorities, whatever, that would help donors and people who want to support economic growth to have as a guide. Thank you.
I think there are different elements, behind the, or could be designated as obstacle to growth in Tunisia. The first element is political one. We are in transitory period, and this is one of the repercussions of the revolution. And it is expected, because revolution means by definition, as I said before, to shatter the line of continuity. And our political system was shaken by the revolution, as well as the economic system itself. And we are in process to rebuild the new political institutions, as well to rebuild our economy. And I think our economy is in need for a huge reform. As I said before, the reform of administration, for example. We suffered from a heavy, and stagnant bureaucracy. Legislations is obstacle to investment, internal as well external investment. Corruption, we're still facing a corruption. Thank God it's no longer, systematic corruption like it was in the previous era. The previous regime, economic corruption was protected by the state, which is no longer the case. But we still suffered from a great high level of corruption. So this is the general context, the political context in the country itself. In addition to that, the regional context, bearing in mind that more than 80% of our trade is within the European Union, and you have the economic union is in a state of economic stagnation. It doesn't help. In addition to the crisis in the region, Libya itself, after the revolution, we assumed that Libya could be the resolution, but it is quite clear it's becoming a part of the problems. We assumed that, a great number of people will be employed in Libya. And the Libyan market, will be opportunity for the Tunisian economy. It is becoming completely the inverse. We received roughly 1 million people, Libyan people who are living then in Tunisia, and it is becoming heavy burden for our economy. So it is multidimensional. There are multidimensional elements that preclude the growth of the country. And I think we are in need for structural reform of our economy. But I think the benefit of this reform will take at least 4 or 5 years until we see the results of this reform. That is why a financial and economic support from the international community, from our partners in Europe, from the United States, is very crucial at this stage, at least to protect the political process in the country.
You're talking about budget support as opposed to infrastructure projects and so on, if I hear you correctly?
Yes, this is one of the
elements. Or infrastructure, which one?
No, infrastructure support, mainly infrastructure support to develop, for example, the marginalized areas in the country, when they have high expectations from the revolution. Because the revolution started from the private sectors of the society and the private area, like Sidi Bouzid, like Kasserine, like Gafsa, in different parts of the Tunis. This is very crucial for our economy. Internal as well external investment also is very crucial. But as long as we have the context, we need a climate, economic climate that will be attractive for internal as well external investment. And it will take some time.